Today's topic is one that I really wanted to talk to a lady called Lauren, and this is her story of how she has experienced cancer. And I watched and read a lot of Lauren's story on Instagram. I am friends with her. I have known her. She was, in fact, a guest on my podcast previously in one of the episodes talking about recovery and addiction. But this episode is Lauren's story. It's about her journey on finding out that and discovering she had cancer, and her experience with dealing with the effects that it had on her health, on her mental health, how it affected people that were around her, and how she got support and help, and those people who gave her the support and help. And it's really important. And Lauren actually wanted to share her story because I know, and we both know, there are so many women now that are going through finding out, that they've got cancer, and how scared they are. All those thoughts and feelings. So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say much more now. I just really think it's important that we go to Lauren so she can tell her story about her journey through cancer and recovery. When were you first diagnosed?
The end of 2022.
2022. And you were how old?
51, I think.
Right. So you basically had a healthy lifestyle, no drink, no drugs.
No drink, no drugs, no smoking.
And you nutritionist?
Nutritionist, really clean eating compared to 99.9% of the, of the nation. So there's a history of breast cancer in my family. So my dad's mom died at 38 of breast cancer, which is
young, really young.
Really, really young. And I always knew that my nana died, and my dad was always a bit paranoid about it.
Okay.
And my dad would say, check your breasts, check your breasts, check your breasts. And I would go every year privately, and I would have breast screening. And then COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't been for 2 years. And my mum kept nagging me, go, go, go. And I was saying, yeah, I'll go next week and I'll make sure that I go. And then I hit 50. So I was obviously just 50. And I got the free one. If you have a family history of breast cancer, this is really important,
mm-hmm.
you are entitled to a yearly mammogram despite your age.
What's it, even from like 30, 40 years old?
Yes.
Right,
you
okay.
Go to your doctors, you say to them there is a family history. They will know that breast cancer now hits any age, okay? It's not just a kind of middle-aged woman thing after menopause, menopausal. It's happening younger and younger and younger. So I get the free one and I'm kind of like, okay, so I've made the appointment and I go off, and she says to me, this is so me, you've come on the wrong day. Everything is like, I'm still really unmanageable, basically. And I'm like, oh, okay. So they make you automatically a new one. And I actually got COVID and I didn't go to that one. So then they've made me a third appointment. And I was in the bath that morning and I knew that I had this appointment. And I was like, checking my breasts, but not in a way that you would check your breasts if you really knew how to check your breasts.
Okay.
I was just having
a little feel around. Like,
yeah.
And to be honest, I think that's what we all do.
Yeah.
You're in the shower, you're giving yourself a wash, and you're like, well, there's nothing there.
Yeah. So I think, do you know what? I'm not going to go. I can't be bothered. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning. You can't be bothered. You're thinking you can't be bothered at 3 o'clock. So anyway, I'd obviously done some work, and at 3 o'clock, I was on the sofa, and I literally, it must have been about 2 o'clock, and I literally shut my eye. And I'm not joking, something, I know what it was, literally pushed me awake. And before I knew it, I was driving, had my mammogram, and then I got a letter saying I've been recalled. This series of events was so crazy. I was going away. I think I was going away like 3 days later.
Mm-hmm.
And I phoned up this clinic. I got the wrong clinic. Of course I did. I got the wrong breast clinic. The other breast clinic that I usually went to, their mammogram was broken. They wouldn't give me. Anyway, we drive all the way up. So I've got an elderly father. He drives me all the way up to town. I turn up to this appointment. My breast scan hasn't been signed off by the NHS to the private sector. She says to me, the only thing I can offer you today is a ultrasound. And I turned it down. I said, you know what? I'm going away. I'm going away for 10 days. And when I get back, I will put back in. They've already made me an appointment at Edgware General. So off I go to Edgware General. And, you know, I'm like the only moron that goes away. And I'm very like, the glass is always half full with me. I don't think about it. I don't mention it to my friend. It doesn't even come out my mouth. I'm just like, I'm fine. I will be fine. Go back to Edgware General. And they're like, we need to do a biopsy. I said, okay, fine. And then this is where I still get upset when I think about this, because I went to see the nurse afterwards and she said, what it looks like is that you have something called DCIS.
What's that?
Which is ductal and carcinoma in situ. I'm sure somebody will correct me on that. So what it means is that you have cancerous cells sitting in situ, they've not moved, in your milk duct, okay? And they're encapsulated.
Okay.
And what that normally is when people have that, they normally have a lumpectomy and they have radiation.
Yeah.
And she's turned around to me and she said to me, you're not going to need chemo. So
you're thinking I'm fine. Everything's all good.
That's the worst.
Not as in everything is all good, but you don't have to go through chemo.
I'm not worried about that. It's this and it's nothing. It's a nothing.
Yeah.
And then I got called back again. This time the doctor's sitting there, and as I've walked in, I thought, this is not good. So he said to me, I just want to check a few things out. Can you come back tomorrow? And he knew. So, my mum said, oh, you know, we'll go up to the West End and you can, if there's anything wrong, you'll be treated. And I said, no, I won't. I need to be near home, actually. So he then became my specialist, Mr. Adebisi. He's amazing. And I had another mammogram and I had another 2 biopsies. Okay. And me being me, I said to the lady that was doing the biopsies, can I have a look at my x-rays? So she showed me my x-ray and I could see the DCIS sitting in situ, they look like the calcium spots. And then behind that, I saw a tumour.
Right.
I saw that.
And did you know what it was?
I knew. I said, what's that? She said, I don't know.
So what was it? Just a grey area?
It was
like a shaded?
Yeah. It was different. You could see.
Right,
I could see. And it was away from the DCIS.
Right.
And I was like, I said to her, what is that? And she said to me, I don't know. And I thought, yes, you bloody do.
They're not allowed to tell. They're not allowed to say anything. No.
They know. But as I kept thinking I'd passed out during my biopsy, but I wasn't. I was actually meditating.
Okay.
And they were like, Lauren. And I was like, I'm fine. Because I just didn't move. I just lay there. And actually, you know, I was really calm. I'm very calm in those situations. And then as I walked out the door, she put her hand on my shoulder and she said, good luck. And I thought, Okay, thank you. And I came out, my best friend was waiting for me, and I said, I've got breast cancer. She went, how do you know? I said, I'm telling you, I've got breast cancer. And the most agonizing thing for anyone at the beginning of this journey, or, you know, is that wait for the biopsies to kind of grow and come through. It's a week, you know.
So you've got to sit there a week and wait, but you kind of knew in your heart, you knew you had it, but you had to have it completely confirmed.
Yes. And what kind of, so this is the thing with breast cancer. You just hear breast cancer and people go, oh, she's got breast cancer. But what you don't realise is there's different subtypes of breast cancer.
Right.
So you have the HER2, which is the hormonal.
Right.
Okay. You have the triple negative.
Is that to do with the BRCA gene one?
Triple negative is to do with BRCA gene.
Right, okay.
You have triple negative, which is incredibly aggressive. You have inflammatory breast cancer. There are different, I never knew any of this. I just thought breast cancer was breast cancer.
Well, that's what I thought until you're telling me now.
Right. So there are different types, okay? And I went back a week later with my mum and dad, and I saw Mr. Alderbasely, and I just knew, you know, and he said, listen, no, I went back with my friend, and he said to me, you have breast cancer, Lauren. And I said to him, okay. And then I had to go back. I can't remember. It's very blurry. I went back with my mum and dad, and I said to him, am I going to die? He said, you have breast cancer. And I said, am I going to die? And he said to me, I hope not. And the next one was, am I going to lose your hair?
Okay.
Lose my hair.
That was
the second thing I said, because he said to me, you need chemo. And it was like my world kind of just stopped. It's like, oh, I feel really emotional. It's like the shock that like the worst thing that somebody could say to you.
Oh.
And you think, my kids. And then you kind of go into this overdrive. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to die. I'm not dying. And you are not taking. And then he said to me, this is the type of cancer that you have, which is triple negative, which is not a good cancer. Okay. And it's an aggressive, fast-paced, fast-moving cancer. And
so now you've gone from shock to frightened.
Yeah, but it hadn't, from what they could see, gone through my lymph. When it goes through your lymph, it means that it's gone through your lymph nodes underneath your armpits, and now it's in your body. It's
right,
yours,
okay.
Right?
Okay.
It's having a free-for-all.
Right.
Okay. So I knew it was encapsulated in my breath.
Right.
And there it had stayed. You hope, right?
And do you think it's because you caught it just in time?
Just in time.
Right.
I said to my oncologist, I'm the one I was like, that doesn't drink, that doesn't smoke, that doesn't take drugs, that, you know, uses non-fucking fluoride toothpaste, and, you know, I'm the one that drinks all the filtered water. And he said to me, it's because I'm BRCA1. It's your genes, Lauren. It's you are genetically wired up for this. So that is the next thing that they did. They checked me for my BRCA. I came back BRCA1. Nobody was shocked. And actually, when push came to shove, my dad was like, it wasn't just your grandma that died of breast cancer. It was her sister, her sister's daughter.
The whole long line
of women. And not just me. My cousin died at 34 of BRCA.
I didn't know that.
So BRCA normally follows the father's path. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it's generally, so when I went to Edgware General, they asked me, the first thing they said when my bum hit the seat is, are you Jewish?
Yeah, because isn't it Ashkenazi Jews? Because I came back clear. I think my sister-in-law told me about it, and she said you need to have it done, and you just have to have a grandparent who is Jewish, yes, especially Ashkenazi Jewish. Yes. The NHS gave me a free spit test.
Between High and the NHS now, and genetics, you can be tested if you have one Jewish grandparent. Okay. And that's the first thing they asked me.
So you started your chemo, you now know you BRCA1, you then have to have things removed.
I would have had to have had one breast removed anyway. That's what they would have done on as statutory, okay? The breast that obviously had the cancer. I'm now entitled to a double mastectomy, and it's a lot. You feel like you have no choices anymore, that your life is being run for you. I have no control or no say really what's going on.
And I guess for you, because you had children, you're in survival mode. I've got to survive because I've got to be here for my kids.
I mean, and I've had people say to me, "Oh, do you think you should take the chemo, or do you want to wait a few months before you?" And I'm like, I don't have a few months to wait. My cancer is aggressive. End of story. And for once in my life, I was going to listen to what I was really being told.
Okay.
So I finished my chemo in the April, and then you always have this space between 4 and 6 weeks once the chemo's finished that I needed to have my double mastectomy. So
right.
I chose not to have implants because I didn't want to put anything into my body that my body could react to. That was my preference. I chose to have what is called a DX flap, which means that they cut you from hip to hip. They take the fat from your stomach and they rebuild your breasts with it.
Okay. So you do have some kind of breast there?
I have breasts there made from to their tummy tips.
Okay.
Okay. They're not finished. They need cosmetics done to them.
Right. Okay.
So I wasn't allowed to keep my nipple. Most people aren't. Just in case there's that one cell that's lurking.
When you look in the mirror, and this is a really hard question, and how do you get your head around what's happened?
The thing that I would say is that I still haven't quite unpacked it.
Okay.
Because it's so enormous. The way that I really look at it is that I have no choice. Do or die.
Yeah.
Do or die. No, I want to live. So you know what? If that means that you're going to take my boobs, there's nothing I can do about it. And I recovered.
You recovered?
I recovered. And I just want to say that I recovered. Every week after my diet, I couldn't even stand up. I lost every shred of dignity. Every shred of dignity. I phoned my friend. I said to him, "I'm not going to believe what happened." And he went, "You shat yourself." I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I did.
You said you recovered. Mm-hmm. You were in a safe space now. Yeah. It's all gone. You're fine.
Once I had the breast removed, my oncologist was like, "Listen, Lauren, you're BRCA1. It's very, very important that you have your ovaries removed." Mm-hmm. Because I am now 60% chance more
susceptible.
Thank you. To getting ovarian cancer.
Right.
So I said to him, "Okay, fine. And I'm going to do that quickly." Because I knew from my cousin, she left it. She hadn't had kids. So I knew, and he said, "Do not leave it, Lauren. Do not leave it. Do not leave it."
Did you have to go for a checkup of some sort?
So I was having blood tests. So there's an ovarian cancer blood test called the CA125.
Right.
Okay. And my CA125 after my breast cancer, and I was paranoid, okay, was at 17. So every time I went for a blood test, I go, "Can you check my CA125? Can you check my CA125? And I was on it because there had to be a pause between the DF
right
and
having your ovaries removed.
My ovaries removed.
Okay.
So I made an appointment to see Marianne Loggenhouse. Mm. She's a cancer gynecologist. She's also a gynecologist. She is unbelievable. I went in and I saw her. My dad was with me. She went, "Oh, I do this all the time. Don't worry." She said, "I go in here and I do that and I take this and I da. And have you had a smear test?" And I said, "No, I've not had anything." Mm-hmm. So I go into the Marsden. I had this very easy operation. I've come round from the operation and this other doctor has come to see me and he said, "We've found a nodule just underneath the diaphragm, and we've removed it for biopsy. And I was like, okay. I said, do you think it's cancer? And he said, I don't know. We don't know. It's just, he said, look fairly normal. 3 weeks later, and I was talking to my mum a few days beforehand, and she said, you know what? If it was anything, they would have called you.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about it. Anyway, I walked into her office and she's hugged me. And I thought, she's hugged me. What's wrong? She said to me, I found stage 3 ovarian cancer. And I'm going, am I going to die? Am I going to die? She's going to me, no, you're okay. And I'm like, are you sure I'm not going to die? And she said to me, the oncologist is coming in right now.
Right.
So in comes my oncologist. And she said to me, you need a radical hysterectomy. When can you come in? I said, next Monday. So the following Monday, I was back in the Marsden, back under surgery, and the anaesthetist said to me, didn't I see you a few weeks ago?
Oh, God.
And that is a bad sign when they recognise you, and you're back again. And I went, yeah, they found ovarian cancer. And she went, oh, wow.
Oh.
The ovarian cancer was there before the breast cancer. Nobody knew. The chemo for the breast cancer, most of it is the same chemo that they use for the ovarian.
Okay.
So they treated 2 cancers. So they were both primary cancers, not secondary. So my breast wasn't secondary. So I was running 2 primary cancers, very unusual, not unheard of. So when they got to my ovarian cancer, they were sitting on my omentum, which is the sticky bit before your diaphragm.
Okay.
It was the size of a grain of rice. Ovarian cancer is undetectable. And most people don't get to the doctors until it's too late. It's not like breast cancer. There's nothing, there's symptoms that you do have, bloating, feeling sick, getting very full after meals. If you suffer from any kind of stomach issue, you wouldn't even know you had it.
Right. It was only that they operated on you that they found it. That's just an incredible story. Incredible for you to have gone through that journey. How on earth do you look back and how do you restart your life?
I don't know is the answer to that. I'm still rebuilding my hair. I mean, the second time I lost my hair, right, I ended up with such horrific folliculitis.
What's that?
It's all my hair follicles got infected, all of them.
Oh my God.
And I had this infection, and because you're having chemo, your body's so weak that it's so difficult to fight infection. Now, a lot of people end up in hospital when they're on chemo. Not everybody, but a lot of people do. Thank God I didn't. And I just think this time around, I'm a lot more kind of chilled. I truly believe, and a lot of people might go, oh, she's just nuts. I believe that somewhere on my soul journey that I've asked for this. These are lessons that we take and we learn from. So I don't stress as much as I used to. I don't lose the plot. I do get stressed, but I don't get stressed in the same way.
So life changing for me to even think about what you've been through. I'm kind of like, as you're talking, I'm visualizing me. I'm listening as if it's me. I'm trying to put myself in that situation. It just seems incomprehensible that not only you had cancer once, but you had it twice. And when you were saying, am I going to die? Am I going to die? Like that fear, because when you have, and it's more, I think you think about your children. You think about your children and your family. You think about, oh my God, like, how am I going to be strong for them? How am I going to be there for them? Because these people need me. Let's talk about like rebuilding your life. What does that look like to you? Can you see in the future now? Can you visualize things? What do you think you want from life now?
It's going to sound really simple. I can't wait for my hair to grow.
Yeah.
Every eyebrow and eyelash hair that came back, I was like, oh my God, thank you, God. And every pound that I lose, I'm like, thank you, I'm coming back to my body. I just want to be healthy. That's it. I just want a healthy life. I want my kids to be happy. And I just want to say, there is this movement, okay, that started recently, and it really upsets me, of these people telling you not to go for mammograms, okay?
Really?
There's a doctor, I'm not going to go into it, but they have said that there's an overdiagnosis of breast cancer. And when they're talking about the overdiagnosis, they're talking about the DCIS,
So
the lumpectomy and the radiation. Let me tell you something. DCIS leads to tumours, okay?
Right.
And they're telling you, if you don't really have this, or you don't, no. And you know, there's this group on Facebook that tells you to, oh, I get my mammogram letter and I throw it in the bin. No.
That's crazy.
And I've spoken to other doctors about this, but there is this movement. If you get your mammogram letter, go. Early detection leads to life-changing results for all cancer. If you've got a lump or a bump and you think, I'm going to leave it, don't. You know, ovarian cancer, if you start to feel sick or you get reflux and it's becoming unbearable, get to the doctor. And if they fob you off, don't stop.
I'm feeling quite emotional after having spoken to Lauren about her story with cancer. One of the things that was said was, you know, am I going to die? That really frightened me. The thought, I kind of was listening to her story like it was, I was trying to put myself in Lauren's shoes. And I know that there are people that are going to be listening to this who have been in Lauren's shoes and who are going through her journey. And I just really want to say that you guys are warriors. You honestly, to feel, just to be strong, to go through that. If you've got children, if you haven't got children, how that affects your family, and just the strength that you all have right now is totally overwhelming, makes me feel completely emotional, and also makes me feel so thankful that I am sitting here right now. And you know, I haven't been on that journey, but I'm watching from the sidelines, admiring all of you and thinking that you are just an empowering community of people that are just finding inner strength to go through this journey. And just all I would say is keep going, because Lauren has proved that she went through that journey not just once but twice, and just so thankful that she is alive. And I will now wake up and remember Lauren's words and remember her story, and I will feel so grateful now every time I wake up every morning not to have gone through what you guys are going through. It's just, you are all incredible, and please don't forget that.